Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this lunchtime session where we hope you're going to be able to find out everything that you need to know for your application to the Diverse Film Fund. My name is Melissa Johns. I am a disabled actor and writer, and I'm co-creative lead at TripleC. I am a white woman with longish blonde hair. I'm wearing a black jumper and I have an American football trophy over my right shoulder. But I do not play American football. That would not be a good thing for anyone if I played American football. I'm joined today by Laurence Clarke. So I will just let Laurence introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Laurence. I'm a screenwriter and I'm also part of the creative team at TripleC. I'm a white middle-aged man with short, brown, greying hair, wearing a white and red shirt and a grey jumper sat against the backdrop of a big picture of a tree that looks like it's coming out to the top of my head.
And before we hand over to Janet, who's going to be starting us off with a bit about the fund, we have got Nick today, who is our BSL interpreter. If you hover over the square that Nick is in and click the three dots in the right-hand corner, that should give you the option to pin interpreter, to pin the video if it's not already pinned. Nick is a white male with black hair, a beard, wearing a white top and a lovely blue background. As I say, we work at TripleC. TripleC is an organisation that, we won a BAFTA a couple of years ago for our services to the industry. I think we can probably just brag about that for a couple more years before it gets boring. We do a few things. We do work with young people, we do work with the community, but one of our biggest strands is DANC, the Disabled Artists Networking Community, where we have over 1,800 deaf, disabled and or neurodivergent creatives on the database. So they could be anyone working across the arts and screen industries, actors, writers, directors, producers, musicians, dancers, crew, script editors, the list goes on. So we will make sure that some information is sent to you as well if you are not part of the DANC members already. It's free to join. You just get an email from us each week. And I think there are probably a few people here who are already part of DANC because you've probably got this, you would have got a reminder about this through the DANC mail out as well. This is a safe space this afternoon. It's a solution-focused space, so it really is here to explore anything that you might have questions on when it comes to applying for the Film Fund. You can ask whatever question you need, and we will hopefully be able to meet you with some solution-focused responses. I will pass over to Janet.
Thank you, Melissa. So I'm Janet Olaofe, and I'm here to talk to you about the Diverse Film Fund on behalf of Together TV. Together TV, first of all, is a national broadcaster, and we like to inspire positive change through our programming. So first of all, I'll just let you know who I am. I am Janet. I'm a Black woman with dark hair, and I'm wearing a pink jumper. I'm sitting in a room with white background. Kind of boring, but you know, it's white. So, and I am the head of content for Together TV. Today, I just wanted to sort of like share with you about our Diverse Film Fund. So Together TV Diverse Film Fund was essentially set up to support emerging talents within the diverse community to produce short documentaries that reflect the experiences of their lives and in their communities, with a strong emphasis on positive storytelling. So this year's Diverse Film Fund would be in partnership with Whisper, and Whisper is the Paralympic producer for Channel 4. Will also be in partnership with BSL, that is British Sign Language Broadcasting Trust. So the Divestment Fund for 2024 will support 2 deaf, disabled, and neurodivergent filmmakers to produce a 10 minutes documentary film with funding of £15,000. And along with that funding, filmmakers would also receive training, expert mentoring, and the finished project will be distributed across TV and streaming platforms. So just to say that I'm hoping that you'll be able to have some questions that we might be able to help you with. And so feel free to post that. And we'll, as Melissa mentioned earlier, we'll be able to help you along the way. And I just want to add also that we are very excited and passionate about Diverse Film Fund. We've been doing it for a couple of years or so now. Our last film was nominated for BAFTA in short film category, and that is following a win the previous year, a BAFTA win the previous year. So each year we put a lot of energy and emphasis and excitement behind each filmmakers to make sure that it's not only about producing this film, but it's also an opportunity to support them in their future careers as well. This is why we introduce mentoring into the scheme, and we also have industry training to help the filmmakers along with their careers. So later on, I'm going to talk a bit more about what we're looking for.
Hi. So, could we share the screen, please, so that we can look at the Together TV webpage? Brilliant. So, this is the webpage on the Together TV website, which is togethertv.com. If you can scroll down, it's the Diverse Film 2024, which has a subtitle of Life Beyond Labels. And you'll find different formats at the top. So there's an easy read format. They've got this information BSL, and there's also an audio version of the information as well. If you can scroll down again, please. There's up to £50,000 worth of funding available, and you also offer mentoring and training alongside that, and a television broadcast and digital distribution, so it'll be on a streaming service as well throughout this August. Then we have the creative brief. So it is one of these topics. So they're looking for, there's one category which is working with Whisper, who are producing the Paralympics. They're looking for one film about the sporting values of courage, determination, and equality. And the underlying theme will be being active, and it can be about celebrating a team or local community sports. And the other film, which is working with British Sign Language Broadcasting Trust, And the theme of that is life beyond labels. And they want a story of everyday adventures from the signing community. Eligibility criteria. So to note, it's got to express lived experience. The film's 10 minutes long. The film needs to be a non-fiction documentary. So this is unscripted, not scripted. They want it to be positive and uplifting to align with Together TV's mission. For you to qualify, be eligible, obviously you need to be the deaf, disabled, and or neurodivergent, and they will support people's access requirements. Yeah, and then the kind of usual ones of over 18, living and working in the UK. At most, you have one broadcast credit as a director or producer. Important dates. Basically, next Tuesday is the most important date at this present time, because next Tuesday at midday is the deadline. And then how to apply. You can apply in different ways. You can apply through either filling out the form, and you'll see there's a big box here linked to form there, or you can send a video, or you can apply over the phone. And if you have any access requirements for completing the application, or you would prefer the form as a Word document, then just get in touch with Together TV. And you got their details there, info@togethertv.com, and there's a phone number too. But we're going to click on link to video application so that we can see the information that you need to provide. So can we scroll down, please? Brilliant. So to apply in this way, you need to record yourself answering these questions below, and then upload that recording to WeTransfer and send the WeTransfer link and any other documentation to the info@togethertv.com address. So the questions. The first section is about you, and that's your standard name, email address, ethnicity, and there's all sorts of options there around ethnicity, and if you could say what pronouns you prefer as well. Section 2 is about disability, and it will ask you if you are disabled or have a long-term condition as defined under the Equality Act. And then below that, it will obviously you need to answer yes to that, or you shouldn't be applying if you're not deaf, disabled, or diverse. But below that, it asks you for various categories of disability. And important to note, you can just tick prefer not to say, which is the last of those options. Section 3 is about access requirements. just asking you for your access requirements during this application process. Should you be successful, your access requirements will be met on the project as well, but for the sake of this application, they just want to know what your access requirements are for this, so that they can make adjustments and put the things that you require in place. Section 4 is about your film, so you need to give a title, a log line, a treatment, and if you're doing it by video, you've got up to 8 minutes to describe your film and to say why you think your film reflects disabled communities in the UK today. And then your director's statements, which is your vision for the film, and how it delivers impact for Together TV. Section 5 is about your experience. So it will ask you to summarize your experience in filmmaking and TV production. You have the option to send a CV, but you don't have to. And then if you would like to showcase any previous work, you can attach that as well. For example, a sizzle reel or YouTube video. So that's it. That's all of the information that you need to give. So the next step is to upload to WeTransfer. Step 3, to send the video to info@togethertv.com with the subject line diverse film from 2024 video application plus your name. And then all you need to do is get that in by midday on Tuesday the 26th of March, so next Tuesday, and then wait to hear back.
So the other way of applying is obviously through the form itself. Obviously, the way that Laurence, the one Laurence just explained then, was through video formats, and of course you can do that through the form itself. And as mentioned, you could also do that through BSL. So if you wanted to submit that in BSL as a recorded BSL application, you could also do that. I think also just worth saying that should you have any other access requirements at the application stage, to just get hold of Together TV and let them know, so that any access requirements can be sorted for the application. I know that we've got questions that are kind of coming in as we speak, and I think that quite a couple that have come in already are around the credit, the producer or director credit, and so I think Janet, if you're able to kind of go into a little bit of detail about that. I think from a disabled creative's point of view, I think it would be really great to know about the scope of what you class as a credit. Obviously, for so many years, deaf, disabled, neurodivergent people have not had the amount of opportunities in this industry. So the kind of director or producer credit to, you know, a sort of really well-known standard might be a barrier in itself. So it would be really great to know, you know, is that what does that credit look like? Is there kind of wiggle room with other things that people can say that they have done, just remembering the kind of barriers that have historically been so high?
Thanks, Melissa. So these initiative is primarily for emerging artists. So if you don't have any credits at all, that's fine. Everybody's welcome, because we are supporting each filmmaker, whether they've produced before or whether they haven't. What we're trying to guard against is a professional filmmaker to apply for the funding. We want it to be able to go to the people that actually needs it. And so those are the people, that's the emerging talent people, whether you have no credit or up to 2 credits. I think the 2 credits is our limit. So you've produced a film before, you've done 2 different productions in the past, whereby you have director or producer credits, you can apply. If you've never done anything before, but obviously you are creative and you have talent, you have a story to tell, please do apply as well. I hope this helps. And
can I just jump in there, Janet? I think that's really useful information, and maybe after it we can have a look at maybe just tweaking that slightly on the website, because I think that might be something that maybe people might not realize. And I think it's fantastic that Together TV are making sure that actually this is an opportunity for people who haven't necessarily been able to get those credits before. There aren't that many, I think, like sort of really well-funded, well-supported funds out there that match this criteria. So I think we'll try and find a way of highlighting that a bit better. But just to kind of really hone in on what you've just said, that actually if someone is doing a strong application, they have a strong idea, they're going to be getting the support and mentorship with it, that you're not saying that they have to have a full. Okay.
Yeah, we're not saying that they have to. Yeah, we're not saying that you have to be an expert or professional, they have to have any credit behind you. If you don't, that's fine. You will have your mentor to guide you through. And we would obviously be providing training as well to support you with your application, as long as the story is strong and it meets the criteria.
Fab, yeah, and as I say, we'll have a look at the website again just to make sure that that's super clear on there, because we would never want that to be a barrier, because I think it's existed as a barrier for so long. So that's really great to hear, Janet, and I feel like there's probably people that are very kind of happy to know that that's the case. Janet, do you want to keep going on some of those bits before we look at the rest of the questions? I know they're coming in, just trying to keep
Thank you. Thanks, Melissa. So I'm going to just talk a bit about what we are looking for. So when we are looking for a story, a documentary relating to sports, being active or competitive, just sports stories. And because the finished project would be broadcast alongside Paralympic coverage that is coming up. And so it should share Paralympic value of courage, of determination, inspiration, and equality. So if you have a story sport related, this would be fantastic. And we're also looking for a documentary focusing on British Sign Language community. So ideally, the story needs to be strong. It should be positive, uplifting, and inspirational. So if you're not sending, if your story is not about sport, if it's about British Sign Language, we'll be happy to accept that as well. So what we're also looking for is that applicants must be 18 years of age, live and work in UK, and obviously we just mentioned the criteria regarding directors or producers credit. If you don't have any, that's fine. As long as your story is strong, please submit your application and we'll be happy to look at it. If you have up to either 1 or 2 credits, that's fine as well. Your application will be welcome. But this is very strong and very important that the applicants must be identified as DDN. So because we want the story, we want each film to be DDM led. And we also said that applicants must demonstrate commitment to storytelling. So we want the story to be authentic, and we want it to represent a real life experience of, so that is very essential. I think Laurence mentioned this earlier, is that the application requirements should include proposal, outlining your project. We want a short rationale setting your creative approach to the story. And we would also like to see a budget breakdown, just to help you and to help us as well. So, the budget breakdown should sort of, as much as possible, outline how you plan to spend your money from pre-production to delivery. So, and also this information are used by the mentors as well to guide, to direct, and to advise. And we would also like to see a short biography introducing you as a filmmaker, talking about your experiences and what you're hoping to achieve. So I think that is basically the criteria are not too long, but what the things that I've mentioned, they are very, very essential. If you have any question regarding the criteria or submissions, we're here, we'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Janet. I also think it's worth just remembering as well that with the form, that there is a that you can save as you go. Lots of you that fill out funding forms on a regular basis will know that not all forms give you the option to save as you're going along. So just really remember that is definitely an accessible function that can be used throughout this. But Janet, there is a deadline reminder and a 24-hour extension, isn't there?
Yes, there's a deadline reminder on the 26th. I mean, there's a deadline reminder. No, the application closes on the 26th. Even at the moment, we are sort of like trying to reach out to people that have started their forms and they haven't finished it, to find out whether there needs any help, any support that that needed. So we will send out for everybody online that have started their form, haven't finished it. We'll continue to send out reminder to them. And
then after they've submitted, what's the process for selection? Who are the judges?
So we have, first of all, we would, all the application will be randomized, because we want we don't want to, it's not based on the person, or it's just based on the story. And so the people that's going to look through the application, they don't know who submitted, so everything is just going to be based on the story submitted. And the final selection will be done by a group of judges from the industry, and the majority of them are members of DDN community, so that they will be able to, because we want every stage of this process, this project, to be for people with lived experience to be involved in it. So the judges will include member of DDN, and application will be randomized. Selection will be done based on the story, and it's not just it's a member of Together TV alongside judges from Channel 4 Paralympic, from British Sign Language and other industries as well. I think we have about 7 judges on the panel, and they are from different broadcasters, but yeah.
Fantastic. That's brilliant. Another thing that we were actually just talking about on the call before the session started was as you're filling out these applications, they're a really good opportunity to copy and paste what it is you're writing into another document. I think writing funding bids can be really stressful, and they can be quite an emotional journey, because you're having to essentially really picture your idea and put that into words or into writing. You're having to really see that vision, and it can really kind of take its toll when you're doing this on a regular basis, wanting to get funding for your piece. So one of the great things about this application, as I say, is that you can save as you go, but really it's a great thing to copy and paste what you're writing into a separate document, because you might come up with ideas as you're writing this application that you think, oh, I wish I remembered how I'd worded that. So, you know, every time you write a funding application, I think it's always an opportunity to explore the work that you're doing, what it is you want to do, and can really support you with your next application.
I certainly do that. I've got a folder of old applications that I always go back to, because, as you say, Melissa, you word things in a certain way and you want to reuse them or go back to them again and again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and just to mention, I just want to go back to the selection criteria again, that it goes through two different pre-selection, different selection process. But I just want everybody that submit their form to know that everything is anonymized. The story, either the selection is randomized. So again, it's just whoever is selected are based on the story as opposed to the person. So you don't need to worry. Just focus on the story, do the best you can. And if you have any question while you're filling your form that you're not sure about, feel free to reach out to info@togethertv.com, and we will be able to get back to you as soon as we can to make sure that you have all the information that you need.
Absolutely. I think just with the time, it might be good for us to I think we can keep chipping away at some of the extra things that we're thinking of, but let's start on some questions, shall we? Because I think that other questions might come up as a result of it. Is everyone happy for us to move on to that? Fab. So I know that Amy had said, if you wouldn't qualify this time, would you be able to apply in the future when you do meet the criteria? This was one of the questions why I did just want to check about the having a credit, a director or producer credit. Amy, I'm not sure whether that might help, but you know, maybe that does help with you being able to actually apply this time. But Janet, what you've done this fund before, haven't you? It's just that this time has a particular spotlight on DDN creatives. Will the opportunity come up again?
Yes, hopefully in future. What Together TV is aiming to do is just focus on different diverse community and different stories within UK. So hopefully this opportunity will come up again in future. And if you apply this year, if you don't get through, then you can submit your application again next time.
Fab.
So could you say, in previous years, the fund has targeted different groups?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, so in the first year, we did a story on Black lives in UK, and because this is our third time running, and the following year we did stories on LGBTQ lives in the UK. And for the first one, you know, I mean, I think that for Together TV, it's not just about just providing funding and giving people money, go off and do it. Because it's targeted at, like I mentioned earlier, emerging film artists. And, you know, and a lot of creative and a lot of talented people are out there that don't get enough support that they need to tell their stories. And so we always make sure that we put a bit of extra behind it in terms of not just about the funding, but connections in the industry, something to help your future career. So the first year, and we also we make sure that it's you know, it meets standard BFI standards as well. We have to make sure that we take Albert training, sustainable production training into consideration. We provide all these resources and support for the filmmakers. And yeah, so and I was mentioned earlier, the first year won a BAFTA, the second year was nominated, and the filmmakers, all the filmmakers have gone off, even the one that didn't win BAFTA, to do amazing things in their career.
Fab. just having another look at some of the questions. Tom, I know you'd said about you thinking you were eligible, but again, you were just a bit confused by the director and producer credit. Hopefully that's been answered now. About the creative brief, does it need to be about sports values only? I think this question actually came in just before, Janet, you had said about it not necessarily directly needing to be a documentary on football or rugby. It doesn't have to, it really is about the kind of feeling around it. And would you say, is the advice here that, like, if you meet the criteria to apply, like, not to kind of just really connect with that story, really find a way of getting that story over and just apply, not to think too much into the exact wording of whether it matches that or matches that. But if you get the feeling that this could be right, then just getting that story across in the application.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we encourage people to do that because we know, like you mentioned earlier, you know, there can be a lot of stuff like bottleneck when you're trying to put this story, the form together. So as long as you look at the criteria and you feel that you meet the criteria, just please submit your form. It doesn't have to be just, yeah, look at the criteria and submit. Yeah, we would give every form that is submitted a fair look, and we will look at the story carefully and we will select. Yeah. Because
it's lived experience, isn't it? And what kind of that feeling of a sort of triumph and achievement and kind of all of those things that could match so differently to each single person's lived experience. So I think absolutely, as Janet is saying, just apply, like, get your story in, because you never know, it might be matching it, you know, completely.
Yeah, so Tom says he's written a 10-minute script called I Am Here based on his lived experience, but he's not sure if it fulfills the requirements. So can you clarify, is it unscripted? It has to be non-fiction, is that correct?
Yeah, it's non-fiction. This is it's a true story. It's non-scripted. So yeah, we're looking. That's why we talk about lived experience. They have to be true to life story within. Yeah, so that's why we also focus on we emphasize on lived experience and lives. You know, different lives in the communities in UK.
Yeah.
Fab. We have got a question here that says, Annabelle says, I've made 1 feature doc and 6 short films. I'm feeling like I'm overqualified to apply. When obviously feature docs, short films can come in all shapes and sizes, can come in all sorts of levels and where that's at. Would you need a bit more information about what that looked like in context of the industry?
Thanks. So what I would say is submit your form anyway, but make sure that you put all this information in there, because like Melissa said, you know, you have to look at the whole context. You have to see the whole story. So in your biography, put as much details as you can about what you've done in the past. And if they are sort of like, you know, that's shown on ITV or BBC or film festival or something like that, put as much information as possible into it, but still submit. You can still fill an application form and submit your story.
Pablo asks if dancing will be included, a film about dancing.
If it's sport related, yes, you can include it, because you know there could be dancing competition in terms of anything sporting related. It doesn't have to be your main core sport, like Melissa said earlier about football or rugby or anything like that. If it's dancing for sports, then it can be included. Because don't forget that the finished film will be is going to be shown along the Paralympic thingy. So yeah, feel free. Just keep on submitting your application. If you have an idea, look at the criteria you've mixed it, put your story together, put your application together and submit it, because you never know.
Fantastic. We've got a question here that says, does both the director and producer have to be disabled or be neurodivergent to apply? So is that both director and producer? Is this a fully DDN-led team? So a bit more around the teams, I suppose, that are building the piece.
I think no, they don't have to be. We just want to make sure that the applicant is vital, that the applicant is identifies as DDN. So if you want to work with the director that's you know that's not member of DDN, then that's fine, because we know that the lead in this application is who we want it to be. We just want to make sure that the funding and the support go to the right people.
Thank you. That's useful for that one.
Another question: will the mentor be there solely for training, or will they be available for the entirety of the film and in post-production?
Yes, they will be there to support you. Obviously, we're going to arrange time that is suitable for everybody. We're going to create a timetable, but yeah, the mentor is supposed to be there. They will be there from the beginning to you submitting your film. So to be there constantly to advise you and to guide you. And also Together TV will be there as well. We will support the filmmakers throughout the process as well.
Fab. It then Ginny says, we are a collective of neurodiverse filmmakers. Can we apply as a group, or should our director or producer apply?
You can apply as a group. If your director or producer is a member of DDN, they can apply as well. And the rest of you can work together collaboratively as a group. That's absolutely fine.
Great. May I Blue asks, can a film that has already been made be used?
If the film has been made and is being shown elsewhere, possibly not. Like if you've shown it on Night TV, because we are looking for fresh stories. If you've made something, let's say you've made something and you haven't sort of shown it elsewhere, yeah, we're looking for fresh stories because we want to follow up with the production and creativity and everything. So yeah. So if it's been made, I don't know if you'd be qualified.
Could we get a how can we get a response on that, a sort of definitive?
So yeah, we're actually looking for stories, not a film that's already been made, basically.
Okay, so the final answer on that one is not a film that has already been made.
Yeah.
What about if someone has had to maybe film like inspiration for something they've been thinking of? So maybe they've done little snippets of something that maybe they've had to submit for other applications. Obviously that would be fine, because that wouldn't have actually been broadcast anywhere. Because
yeah, if you have a scissor reel, if you have a sort of like a short promo that you've shot because of something you want to produce as part of your application, then that's fine. We welcome that. We just don't want a complete project that's already been made. Yeah.
Great. Stefan says, if the focus for my documentary is an individual who has multiple disabilities, he is both disabled and deaf and participates in sport, which brief and partnership, Whisper and BSLBT, could the film be entered for? I don't think you don't have to do that at application stage, right? You just submit your application, and then your side will work out whether it goes under that. So actually, Stefan, I think you don't have to worry about that. You would just do your application and kind of get that story across in the best way possible in the application, and then Together TV would decide who would be the partnership for that based on other applications, other successful applications. Yeah.
Another one from Stefan. Are you looking for docs that focus around competing in sport at a high level, Paralympic level, or can the focus be on people who have a love of a specific sport or take part in train at a smaller community level?
If it's on a small community level, that's fine. If you have a story that focuses on, professional competitive story that you can produce for 10 minutes, that's welcome as well. So, I mean, as long as it's done, it's 10 minutes. The story is 10 minutes. If it's a community sporting event, we'll be happy to accept that as well.
What about people who love sport, like football fans or?
It depends on what the perspective that they're submitting. If you can just say, I'm a football fan and I don't know what the documentary is going to be about. But the key criteria is that it have to focus on sporting events, competitive or otherwise, So if you are saying, for instance, that I like to watch football, I like to watch rugby, and I want to talk about my love for it. I mean, but at this stage, what I will advise everyone.
If you were say various football clubs have disabled supporters groups or something like that.
Yes, that would be welcome.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
that would be
honestly think
absolutely welcome.
it really does feel like, and I know that funding applications do take time, but I do think that it's a fairly wide scope actually in terms of this. So I think what and just to reiterate what you're saying, Janet, apply, apply.
Put your application forward. Don't get too bogged down about the technicalities at this point.
Yeah.
Because what you might think that it doesn't meet the criteria might be very thing that, because the story in itself might be inspiring enough that the judges look at it and thinking, this is a fantastic story that we need to put out there. So I would just say apply whatever your story is. If it's about the communities and anything, just put your application together and send it over.
Fab. I think Laurence, do let me know if I have missed any, but I think that's the end of the questions. Has anyone got any other questions? Remember that you can always, once you're kind of going through the application, someone from Together TV will always be there to answer any questions that you have. We've got one here. Can I apply more than once? How many times do you expect somebody to put an application in?
You can apply as many times as you want, because the selection, as I've mentioned, is not based on the name, so we wouldn't even know. We're just looking at individual stories.
Fantastic. And as Parissa has put in the chat now, if you have any questions or need any further advice based on the Diverse Film Fund application, you can email in on info@togethertv.com or call on 020-3169-1562. And I think, as a team, I know you're so dedicated to this kind of making sure that people feel as supported as possible to provide the best application that they can. So absolutely do get hold of the team if you have any questions. I think the bottom line is, if you're wondering whether this is for you or not, then either apply anyway or at least ask a question. I think the worst thing you could do is just go, I'm not sure about that, I'm going to leave it, because actually who knows, the thing that you've got could be the thing that everyone's looking for. So I definitely think apply, or even if you've got a question, please reach out to Together TV.
You've got absolutely nothing to lose. You've got to be in it to win it, as you say.
It's so true. You really do with anything like this. By not applying, the answer is definitely no. But by applying, there's so much else you get from applying for things. Obviously, the chance of getting what you want at the end of it, But the more things that you apply for, the better you get at funding applications. Actually, you start to really understand what it is kind of people want, the sort of information that you give over. Stefan has said, regarding submissions, can you submit multiple ideas then? Janet, that was the yes, was it? That actually they're all.
Yeah, that was it. Yes, everything will be randomly set. Yeah.
So random, so you could submit as many as you wanted, because actually,
yeah,
that's the bit that's getting judged. Also, just to say that the recording the recording of this will be available on the Together TV Diverse Film Fund page. So if you need to go back over anything, then you can watch it back. We've got another one that says, does the whole team need to identify as disabled or neurodivergent, or just one person? Is this a sort of disabled, should this be disabled led?
Yes, it should be. Yeah, the answer is simply yes. It has to be DDN led.
And so by DDN led, does that mean, what if there was just one person in the team? So say the person who applies is DDN, but everyone else is non-disabled. That doesn't feel too disabled led.
That doesn't feel too disabled. There has to be the person that apply have to be disabled. The contributor have to be straight stable. Now when you're growing up, you can have mixture of people in your crew, but the main applicants have to be, and the contributor.
Yeah, so the leadership roles, essentially the kind of
leadership
roles needs to be DDN led. When it comes to crewing up, crew can be a mixture of both disabled, non-disabled, but at leadership level of this application, that needs to be DDN.
Yeah.
Fab. Have we got any more questions that look like they're going to come in the next couple of minutes? Just to, if you want to make a note now of the message in the group, just once again, for any questions or further advice, the email address and the phone number. If you just want to make sure you've made a note of that before it disappears. Okay. I think that is all the questions. To confirm, so this is confirming the last question. To confirm, director and contributor identify as deaf, disabled, and or neurodivergent. So what about if the director, so the person who applies can either be the director or producer, or both?
Yeah, they can be both, or they can be either. Yeah. So, but as long as it's important that the applicant is disabled. So, yeah.
So, for example, if the applicant was also the director and they were deaf, disabled, and or neurodivergent, that's fine. What if they were with a producer who was non-disabled?
Again, so we will advise that they have a person that understand the story to produce it, because but we also welcome people who want to collaborate, because we had a question from someone previously who said that they are disabled, but they work with non-disabled producer. They've been working with them for years, and they understand the story that they put out there. Now, we don't want there to be sort of like a barrier for them in applying. So we said that they can collaborate. We're happy for them to collaborate, as long as the application is DDN led. So if the applicant is DDN and we know the story is about, the disabled person, the crew, members of the crew can be mixture of people. Mixture of, different communities.
But you would advise that there is a heavier push towards the makeup of the team being a high percentage DDN.
It just to create better understanding because you can't sort of like the sort of energy and impact that you will have on something you don't understand is different when you're doing it from lived experience perspective. So we will advise that.
We've had a last minute question from Stefan. You mentioned the budget earlier. How detailed does this have to be?
So we just need you to it's sort of like write a guideline of how you plan to use your budget, because it's essential that everybody that work together gets paid properly. If it's one side, we don't want anyone to anyone to feel that they have been unfairly treated during the making of the film. So it's important, and it helps the filmmakers as well to know how they're going to spread their budget. So so we want the detail. We want to know how the money will be planned, how you plan to use your budget. So
could you also say in something like that, if you look at the rates that you can obviously find online, what rates are for short filmmakers in terms of crew rates, contributor rates? Can people say that they would adhere to those the given rates?
Yes, they can. Yeah. We just want within the budget that we're offering, and this is how because the thing is that there are different rate card and the different opportunity that providing different services within the budget that they're going to be given. This is how they're going to use the budget for the film. That's what we want to see. We also in part of that, once the filmmakers submit their films, we also help them. We sit down with them as well to go through their budget to make sure that they manage it properly. But first, for the application, we just want you to submit your idea of how you plan to use your budget.
Yeah, that makes sense. We have now reached 2 o'clock, so thank you so much, everyone. Really great questions there, actually, which I think will be helpful for so many people looking back on this session. Thank you so much, Janet, for all of your information. And as we've said lots and lots of times, just apply, just ask the questions, reach out. Certainly don't look at any of it and say, oh, I better not. It's always better to at least find out a little bit more and see whether applying is the right thing. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.